Hey guys, welcome to an exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is November 20th, 2015, and we have a little bit of everything this week. Got a few kit announcements and a few kit releases and some kit information as well. So, full deck of cards. About a house of cards, and hope it doesn't fall over here. So what we have to talk about is some kit announcements from Hasegawa. These are going to be December reissues. All of these spot runs of existing tools. Nothing is going to be new about these. Just sort of refilling the freight, so to speak. Now, all four of these kits that I'm about to tell you about were discontinued, or at least out of production, for somewhere between 8 months and maybe a year and a half. So you could probably still find them, but they were not necessarily available through what I consider to be first line vendors, your Hobby Links, your Hobby or Hobby Link Japan's, your Hobby Searches, because Hobby Link is a different thing in here in the United States, down in Georgia. So reissue wise, you're going to get a reissue of the Lamborghini Jota SCV. We had talked about that recently when discussing the Lamborghini Miura. Reissue of the 1963 Volkswagen 23-window passenger van, the Samba van, and the 1967 Volkswagen Type 2 panel van. Now, keep in mind that Hasegawa's 60, Volkswagen microbus, so to speak, is a completely different and unrelated tool to the Revell of Germany tooling. So while they did overlap at quite a bit of places like the 23-window van and like the Type 2 panel van, they are not the same kits, and the Hasegawa ones came first, and ergo, because they just were filling a void in the market that didn't exist, they're curbside. And, their doors don't open. For some reason, Revell of Germany thought all the doors need to open on their kits. So if you want the engine and everything else, you need to go Revell of Germany. If you want to go curbside, sort of a quicker build, so to speak, you can go with these Hasegawa kits. And then the last one is the 1971 Toyota Celica 1600 GT race configuration. And why we use the air quotes on that is that the kit itself is not really a race car. It does come with some roundels with some numbers in them, but there's no sponsorship. It doesn't replicate any specific car. It is sort of the essence of the cars that ran the Japanese Grand Prix and other road races within Japan and Southeast Asia. It is pretty much the exact same 1600 GT Celica kit that you get any day of the week as just the regular car with the blue box art. And I think pretty much, even though it was a limited edition, you can still find the yellow car with the all original steel wheel option. That's still out there. And the actual race configuration kit actually still comes with the Watanabes that are in all of the Celica kits. But there's no, there's never going to be a Studio 27 decal set for this kit. There's never going to be a whole bunch of stuff done for it, because other than a chin spoiler, a rear spoiler, and some fender flares, and they are period racing fender flares, not Rocket Bunny fender flares or anything wild or crazy like that. It is just a essence of type of build. It is not an actual race car. The instructions do not call for it, but there is a sort of a roll hoop with rear support, kind of roll cage. This roll hoop is what it is. It's not an actual cage. To me, a cage needs at least 4 points of contact. And while this does have 4 points of contact, it's more like a roll lean-to than a roll cage. But, it's cool in what it is. If you wanted to build a sort of a retired race car, perhaps, or something along those lines, that's an option. The other kit, and this is a actual, what would be a modified version of a new tool that actually hasn't even come out yet, and this is from Ebro, the McLaren Honda MP430 2015 early season variation. Now, the guys who watch the show every week and pay attention know that about, 3-4 months ago, we had talked about Ebro doing a 1/20th scale MP430 2015 mid-season F1 car. So this is going to be a variation of the tooling to make it the early season, the beginning of the season. And that's pretty much all I can tell you about it, other than it is scheduled for February of 2016. I'm not an F1 fan. Sorry. Open wheel racing doesn't do anything for me in general, so it's not just F1. I don't like Indy or kart either, if kart's even still around, or whatever runs at Indy 500 now and killed that poor guy at Pocono. But for the guys who do like F1, there hasn't been a modern F1 kit, since the Red Bull car that Tamiya did several years ago. So this is going to be not so much filling a space, but expanding the collection into the real modern day. I don't know enough about F1, and I didn't do any research because, honestly, guys, I don't care whether or not there are any other teams running this car other than whatever the team is that's represented by the factory decal sheet here. But the mid-season one, with the ones coming out first, is scheduled to come out before the end of the year. We'll see. Ebro's sort of been about 50-50 on the release dates this year. And then, like I said, this one's coming out in February 2016. Regardless of which, whenever this mid-season kit comes out, it'll probably be about 2 months until this one comes out after it, because, they're not going to crowd their own marketplace by selling two basically the same cars right beside each other like that. And that's pretty much, I guess, it as far as that goes. But I know that there's starting to get some chatter out there. People are starting to realize that the kit is getting fairly close to delivery. Also, and we'll talk about it, more when we get into the December video, but the Lotus F1 car, the one with the big goofy wing in the back, that's also scheduled for December now, too, for people that are waiting on it, who pre-ordered it a while ago and haven't seen it come out yet. And that takes us, I guess, into real quick before we go into kit issues, is the fact that this past weekend was the Southern Nationals in Atlanta. Now, I did not go, so everybody who's like, Jesus, I didn't see him. No, I didn't go. Work, ironically, at the time, when I could have planned to go, was not going to permit it due to the fact that I hadn't really worked at this place long enough to get vacation, and I normally work the weekends. Irony being that I haven't worked since last Wednesday, so I could have went and just spent some time down south and never would have really affected me whatsoever. I would still been just as broke as I am right now. But of course, I've watched everybody's videos, and I've talked to a good deal of people that went down there. And we found out some information about some of the Revell first quarter stuff that's coming along. First up, the 2016 Ford GT. I want to try to stay as positive as I can about this, because to me it's just a vapid wasteland of disappointment, and that is the fact that this kit car, whatever you want to call it, is being sponsored by Ford in the same way that the 2015 Mustang and the 2017 Raptor kits were, except it's not going to be quite as basic. They're going to give it away at the auto show, and that's going to severely compromise it from my adult hobby perspective. It's a very cool kit to get for your kids, your grandkids, your cousins, your nieces, your nephews. However, I don't subscribe to the belligerent nonsense of a few people out there. They're like, oh, this is fantastic. They're like art projects, blank canvases, and you're just not understanding. No, I understand perfectly fine. What I want to build as an adult hobbyist, like I said, the build and play stuff is fantastic for your kids. I think it's just a revolution that Revell has finally figured out that they need to bring some kids into the hobby, or they're going to have any customers in 10, 15 years, or they won't have very many customers in 10 and 15 years. But my problem with that lies that they're not going back and fixing them. To me, the way I've always seen this program working, and this is, of course, my mind, not Revell's, is that you do these auto show kits, these basically would amount to unassembled promotional models, and then much like AMT Ertl did all throughout the 80s and 90s, MPC before them, Johan before that, everybody before that, was you do this goofy little simple kit for the kids, gets them into the hobby, and then you come back later on and make a real actual model kit out of it, like they did with everything. That's, how we got all these goofy, weird 90s cars out of AMT Ertl, the Ford Taurus SHO, the Probe, the Beretta, the Ranger, the S10, the Blazer, the F-150s, let's see, what GMC Sonoma, that's technically a Blazer. I'm trying to think of other goofy stuff. I got 2-3 versions of the Beretta, 2-3 versions, the IMSA version of that Probe, and all those weird, goofy model kits we got because AMT Ertl had the promo contracts for Ford and Chevy. Of course, the Corvettes and the Camaros and the Firebirds and all that came out as promos too, but you almost sort of forget about them being model or promos and then model kits, because you just assume that there'll always be that high-end Halo U.S. car or sports car coming out as model kits, and that sort of has stopped. The 2010 Corvette ZR1 is the last full detail Corvette model. Yes, AMT Ertl did their showroom replica 2012s. Yes, there's a 2015 pre-paint kit that's sort of kind of a model kit. It's more like a showroom replicas plus promo chassis with part of an engine. But the Camaro stopped in 2010 after coming back. But the Mustang probably has the best lineage of all the Revell sports cars, but it's just sort of screeched to a halt. I think you have the basic interior, you have the body shell for the Mustang, 2015 Mustang, and you'll have the interior and body shell for this new 2016 Ford GT. The common sense thing would be to then go back and tool up everything that you need underneath of the cars to make real model kits out of them and sell them to actual adult models. Because believe it or not every 60-year-old guy wants to build nothing but 1950s cars. Now, that doesn't cover many 60-year-old guys, I realize, but there is a market out there for those of us who would like to build something a little more than 7 pieces and, don't think that the 7-piece thing is an acceptable excuse to us as serious customers. I guess what I'm saying is Revell has spent so much time not focusing on any type of children aspect in the hobby whatsoever. They've got a lot of money in their RC division, well, Hobbico does in general, but they sort of went, models are for old people and young kids don't like them. And somewhere, I guess, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, they suddenly realized that, about 10, 15, 20 years, the majority of their model customer base is going to be either dead or too old. I mean, can't see, not steady, whatever, to build. And that's just a fact of life. There's no slam on anybody because we're all going to get old and not be able to build. It's just a fact of life. And we better get some kids into this. And the best way to get kids into this would, of course, be to go through their parents and grandparents. So it's good to see that Revell finally realized that, except now they've gone way over this way and are putting everything into that, and they're sort of ignoring the parents of young children. Because I could build, I could get a 2015 Mustang for my kids. They're a little too young yet. But, I've started to bank away some of these so that I can have them build them later. But I personally would like to build a 2015 Mustang that has more than 7 parts to it. And I think the opportunity to just, modify the 2013 Boss, tooling to fit underneath, how different can the chassis really be? I'm sure it probably is vastly different, and I don't know what I'm talking about. But I haven't been underneath a new Mustang to really look at it. The 2013, 2010, 2006s were all more or less the same as far as that one. But, like I said, just invest a little money and, make those of us feel better. Because the 2016 GT, to wrap this back around to what we were talking about originally, when you get it as the model kit, the Snap-Tight kit, it's going to have mirrors, unlike the build and plays they give away to the auto shows. The holes are going to be like flashed over like they would be on anything else like that. But it's going to have just a flat chassis plate with no detail to it whatsoever, and the similar build and play construction where it has metal axle, wheels on metal axles that snap in from the top. And again, as a serious adult modeler, and as somebody who has a lot of model kits, that's how I'm looking at this. Not because I'm good, not because I'm, special, but as somebody who puts a lot of time and money into building, I just think that I'm not willing to accept that these Snap-Tie kits are anything more than sort of something for my kids to do, or something that's sort of fun on a weekend to swap out some tires and see what you can do to it. Place with Trucks did his as a cancer awareness belt. Came out looking great. It's great for that sort of thing, but I can't swap an engine into that. I can't, I can't swap the engine out of it, take the Coyote that should be in it out of it and put it into a street rod or something else. And I think that you're missing a market when you just go, the kids, they're happy. Yeah, okay, well, let's throw another $50,000 at this mess and make a regular model kit out of it. I would have been perfectly acceptably thrilled because the kit itself, the car body itself, doesn't look too bad. Basically, because Ford paid for it, and they've probably supplied the CAD data for it. If that would have just been a Snap-Tie kit on the level of the SVT Raptor, and that being the red boxed actual Snap-Tie kit. That is a fantastic kit for a Snap-Tie kit, probably one of the best Snap-Tie kits that Revell has ever done. And I would have liked to have had that Ford GT be that same thing, rather than it being sort of this hybrid mush in between. Moving on to the other things that we were discussing from the last video, and that is the 2013 Corvette ZL1 and 2014 Mustang GT kits with the big goofy-ass hoods and the weird-ass wheels. I have been reliably informed by people who were there to see it and who talked to the people who know that those will come with the regular hoods and regular factory stock wheel and tire options. Now, granted, that's Revell, and it's going to be too small and with a 4x4 stance and all that happy horse shit. But I probably will skip the Camaro outright because I have the showroom replicas one that AMT did. And I was like, well, there's an engine in it. Yeah, it has a 5-piece engine in it. And with some careful detail painting, it can be made to look very nice. However, I already have one. I don't need another one. If they had decided to do a 2015 Z28 or a 2016 Camaro, then I'd be all in on buying what they're offering. I will probably consider strongly the 2014 Mustang, simply because it's the next step in the Mustang lineage. These are, however, not going to be full detail glue kits. They are going to be unpainted, pre-painted kits. So you're going to get the chassis, the promo style chassis, the metal axles, and everything that came with the pre-painted kits. You're just going to pay an extra $5 for big-ass goofy hood and stupid-looking wheels and tires. If you thought they looked bad on the flyers, you need to go out online and just search around for people who took pictures at the Southern Nationals to see just how god-awful, especially the Camaro's, wheels actually look in real life. That being said, I don't know. I know a bunch of guys are all like, oh, look at the hoods. They're fantastic. I like these hoods. Okay, well, there's no bigger motor underneath of it. It's just a factory stock car with a big goofy hood. We said this last week. It looks like a rich 19-year-old kid's car who put big tires and a cowl induction on here. I'm fast. Okay, great. Glad the stock parts are in it, or else they wouldn't have sold me anything out of that. And I'm thinking, everything else pretty much after that is, modified reissues. The 66 Fleet line looked all right. The 67 Camaro, the new parts look good, but Revell confirmed that they are not fixing the tool to fix the weird wonky back end that it has, or the fact that the grill opening in general was not the right shape. But I could go around that. It doesn't really matter to me because it has the hideaway headlights, and so you lose the weird front grill that it came with originally. But it's a shame that they're just it's Revell. It's you hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. Hey, here's the back end of this car. Here's the real car. You agree that this is wrong, right? Well, yeah, it is, but it's close enough. Oh! It's like getting stabbed in the ear with a rusty spork. Good enough is not an excuse in 2016, almost, to me. All right, guys. So anyway, moving on to the actual kit releases, we've drove that into the ground. Speaking of Revell, I don't have the box art for this because this literally just came in. The hobby shop here in town, up in town, I guess I should say, because this little 250-person village I live in doesn't have a hobby shop. But the main hobby shop up in the county seat, so to speak, just got this in. They're selling it on eBay, and I called up there and actually, is it pre-order or do you have it? No, we have it. You want one? No, I don't want one. Just checking. 72 Oldsmobile Indy 500 pace car with the Linda Vaughn figure for the Hearst Oldsmobile tie-in here. This is going to be basically your same 72 Oldsmobile that's been out twice, basically, with all of the parts combined into it. Now, I don't know that it has the low pro wheels and tires in it, but it does have the regular Cutlass grille and the 442 grille, and it does have obviously the convertible boot. Ms. Vaughn is sitting on it, as well as the up top. So this is sort of a combination of the Hearst Olds and the Cutlass Supreme custom kit that came out that you had to buy to get the up top. So this is going to have all the parts in it. This is also selling, guys, for about $28 through the Decent Hobby Shop's eBay. So you know that on the shelf this is going to be a $30 model kit. If you're buying it through Hobby Lobby and all the rest of those places, don't be surprised when this is an over $30 model kit as far as what the shelf MSRP is. If you're buying it through a show vendor or somebody who doesn't have a brick and mortar retail, you might be able to get it for under $25, but it's still much higher than the other ones, mainly because of the figure that's included. I'm sure the extra parts, that's a good way to ding you, since the Cutlass Custom that had the up top. Well, that was discontinued about, I don't know, maybe 6 months after it came out, so there's no way to get it up top. And now, whoa, here's a way, but it's really expensive. Yeah, thanks, Revell. We got 2 reissues from Hasegawa and 3 from Fujimi, so let's plow through those real quick. This is the Lancia Stratos HF rally car for the 1977 Monte Carlo Rally, the All Italia livery here. Curbside kit, but it's the first time that it's been available this way in quite some time. We've talked about it before, but just a reminder, Studio 27 has a detail upset that is photo etch and all sorts of fun resin and white metal parts. Put a gravel suspension underneath this, or an asphalt suspension, whichever it doesn't have currently. I don't know enough about this kit to know. I mean, it looks like it's on asphalt in that picture, but I'm not sure. But it has basically they're going to offer a conversion suspension to the other way. They're also offering about 2-3 sets of decals for it. The other reissue is the 1993 Lancia Super Delta rally car. This is in the Martini Racing livery. This is the 1993 World Rally Championship, or excuse me, 1992 World Rally Championship Maker Championship winner. So they basically won the manufacturer's title that year in this for the Lancia. This, again, is also getting a bunch of Studio 27 stuff, a bunch of photo etch, several sets of decals, as well as either gravel or asphalt. This again looks like it's on asphalt, but who knows. But it's getting the opposing suspension upgrade set will also be available. So you can really go hog wild with these historic rally cars from Hasegawa this month. And then over Fujimi, all this stuff is technically could be considered new, even though none of it is actually new, but it's all been out of production for so long that it counts as new as far as their ordering system goes. First up is the model year 1999 Lamborghini Diablo Super Veloce. These Diablos from Fujimi, I think the best way I've heard them described was a friend of mine who said that they're barely adequate but superior to the alternatives, and the alternatives being the Artillery kit or the old AMT Ertl SE kit. These are sort of weird assembly. They have a whole bunch of screws. They almost feel like they're a plastic version of a die-cast car, just by the way they assemble. It's not a snap type per se, but it has that feel. And then I said there must be, I don't know, a metric shit ton, pardon the French, of screws involved in this thing, because it has no less than 15 holding this whole thing together. It may weigh more in screws than it does in actual plastic. But if you want the model year 99 Diablo, which has the flush-mounted headlights rather than the flip-up headlights, again, this is the only way to get that. This comes with window masks for the first time. They're also newly reissuing the Audi 90 Quattro 20V. Very basic kit, about 45 parts or so. Know that this has a very, very basic chassis underneath of it that does not have the Quattro drive that you would expect from this advertisement of it being a Quattro. It is front-wheel drive because they actually issued this Audi 3 different ways. The Quattro, just an Audi 90, and then an Audi 80, which is actually a really, really basic car with almost steel wheels on it. This is sort of the top-of-the-line version. It has really, between the Audi I have, which is just the Audi 90, and the Quattro, I think there's some wheel differences, and there's a real spoiler to this that my kit does not have. But since none of the Audis have been available for like 10 plus years, you really can't argue about it because, well, you couldn't get one if you want to build this style Audi. Just be aware, again, metal axles up front, out back, very basic chassis. You're basically gluing sort of plates of plastic, engraved plastic, over the axles. There's very, very few separate components to this at all. And again, no Quattro. It is front-wheel drive. Last but not least is this combination kit. So the Ferrari 512 Boxer Berlinetta kit's been available for anybody who wanted to order one, either in the red Ferrari boxes like this, or of course it came in the Nami set of kits that came out at the beginning of 2015. What is different about this than the other two versions is this includes the Boxer Berlinetta fuel-injected parts. The BBI was a later model year version of the 512. It came with a different front fascia not so much above the fenders, but below, but basically the bumper, where the 512 had hidden fog lights. The fog lights are exposed in the BBI. It has a slightly different rear fascia as well. And the primary thing in this model kit, as far as what you can see about it, is the fact that it has the intake and oh, geez, there it is. I was like, went away from me. There it is. I found it again. Bosch K-Tronic fuel injection intake and engine parts compared to the regular carbureted intake and engine parts that the Boxer Brilliant kit comes with. It's not a complete full engine. You couldn't really pull it out and swap it into something else. Not that I think you'd really want to, but it is certainly more than just a engine insert or a chassis plate type of deal where you throw something on top of it. It's probably about a 10-piece engine or so. Although, like I said, it's not a real engine in the sense that what you can see looks good. What you can't see, they just sort of ignored. 125 parts, and this comes with window masks for the first time as well. So, at any rate, guys, don't mean to go off on a Revell tangent, but I just think they could do things a little differently. Hey, that's what you watch this for, is my opinion, I guess. And that's what it is. If you disagree, I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're wrong, because it's your hobby, and you put into it what you want to put into it, and everybody's happy with it. So, not trying to stir drama, not trying to stir the pot, just throwing out my opinion out there. So hopefully here on YouTube we're all adult enough to deal with that. I just know that if I would have said what I said on one of the forums that I used to participate in, a giant raft of crap would have come flying, and I would have been called a traitor for not wanting to buy Revell kits and all the rest of that stuff. Regardless of whether or not I said I would actually buy the Mustang, I missed out on all the drama. Apparently, there's a bunch of drama on YouTube. Missed it. Don't know what anybody's talking about, which is a good thing, right? You don't even know what the drama is. So I'm not trying to start my own. Just offering my opinion. And so, guys, holidays coming up rapidly here next week. We will be here, as far as I know. Japan's off on Monday because their Thanksgiving isn't the same as our Thanksgiving, but they are working the rest of the week. So we will be here Friday, more than likely, or Saturday, somewhere. We'll still be here next week. We're not taking the holiday off. So anyway, guys, hope you had a good one. We'll see you on the other side.